The Miami Dolphins have the 13th overall pick in the upcoming 2025 NFL Draft. And so, what will they end up doing when their name is on the clock? My name is Tyler, here with my brother Ryan, and we're going to break down this 2025 NFL mock draft for the Miami Dolphins here momentarily. But before we do that, if you like the work that Ryan and I put out and you want to help the Tracy Take channel grow, the easiest way is hitting that subscribe button, tackling that bell, and also leaving a like and a comment. Let us know what you think of this mock draft and what you want to see the Miami Dolphins do come April. And Ryan, with that being said, we did a full 3 round mock draft, all 100 picks or so. And with Miami's picks here, we ended up going with Kelvin Banks. There's a lot of different options I feel Miami could end up going. Miami's in, I feel, just a very unique spot right now, just overall as a franchise. Everybody's obviously just concerned with Tua's health, I think, on a daily basis. Uh, Tyreek Hill is like, what's his future status going to be like? This offensive line does need a little bit of work on. You have some key veterans that I think are that are going to be on free agency. A couple offensive linemen, as we talked about, like with Robert Jones, Liam Eichenberg on the offensive line side of the ball, but Jordan Poyer, Javon Holland, both safeties, especially Javon Holland as well, is going to be a free agent. That's going to be a big one. So, how do they want to navigate this upcoming draft? Like, how do they want to try and get better? Because it does seem like Miami is kind of a one-trick pony, and when fully healthy, that's a really tough pony to beat. But this year, obviously, just like when they weren't healthy, it a lot of flaws came up in their game, and so
Yeah.
we ended up going with Kelvin Banks here, just picking offensive lineman because every team needs to have a solid offensive line just in general. They missed out on Will Campbell, missed out on Josh Simmons, so we went with what we felt was like the next best option. There's a couple other first round offensive linemen that we think that could go here, but Ryan, Kelvin Banks, what do you think he brings to this Miami Dolphins offense?
Yeah, I mean, I think you look obviously excluding Josh Simmons, of the offensive linemen that are going to go in the first round. Uh, I think Calvin Banks probably has the best chance, maybe tied with Armand Mimbu, to actually stick out at tackle. He's the only. I don't really have length concerns with him. I think he has long enough arms, and I really do like what he did at left tackle there. He just also has like guard versatility. And I think he can come in, play 4 out of the 5 spots on your offensive line, whether that's at left tackle, right tackle, left guard, right guard. I think he's just a really, really solid offensive lineman. And if I'm the Dolphins, doing everything that I can to invest in Tua and keep him upright and healthy. So I think that this is a solid pick here. This to me, like the Tyler Warren pick to Indianapolis, has I think started to become a little like vanilla, where just a lot of people are making a very similar pick here. I did mention this guy's name already that I have kind of rising up my draft boards, but Armand Mimbu, the right tackle from Missouri, is phenomenal. He plays with great leverage, great length, great power. Like he's a really, really good athlete as well. And I think he could come in, and to me, him and Calvin Banks are the two best tackles in this class. I'm leaving Josh Simmons out of that just because of his injury concern and what happened with him. And we only were able to see 5 games from him last season, where Josh Simmons has the highest ceiling, but we'll have to see kind of where these other two end up playing at the next level.
Yeah. It's to me. I just feel like this offensive line just needs to just keep on improving for Miami. It's
Yeah.
such a timing based offensive system, and you have so much speed on there, and you just need to be able to protect Tua as best as you can, especially into like with his concussion history. But also, too, just on top of that, it's going to help out the team in general if they can also even develop different ways to run an offense, like somehow maybe become also have some power offense capabilities on the team, especially too if they have a 1 touchdown lead with 7 minutes left to go in a game. That would be a
Yeah.
nice quality to have in some of these teams instead of just relying on speed and like running the ball through the air as we've coined that phrase. And so I think just getting good solid offensive alignment in the first round, I think could be a very solid way to go. If they, I
Yeah.
will say Malachi Starks was still on the board. If they end up moving on from Jordan Poyer and Javon Holland and just want to replace him, I think that would be an interesting option to go as well. But moving on to the second round pick, if they want to go offensive lineman first, there are also several good day 2 safeties I think that they could bring on. And one of the ones who made a big name for himself just throughout the season, but also too particularly in the college football playoffs for Texas, and Andrew Mukuba, safety out of Texas here. I think that this would be a solid option for this team as well. It's going to be interesting because if I'm not, he's definitely more of a strong safety, and so they end up re-signing Javon Holland, but end up moving on from Jordan Poyer. They might need to figure something out there, but he's also just an extremely solid defensive player as well. I think maybe if they'd want to get Michael uh, Taffy, the other safety out of Texas, in day three, and just keep them together, I think that would be a very smart move as well because they played really well together.
Yeah, and to me, Mukuba can be moved all around the
Yeah,
defense. I think him and Javon Holland would complement each other pretty well, and so I think that is going to be a good pick here for them to just go and address the back end of that defense. And all in all, like this is just a solid pick, good value, fills a need, and like it's you get a good player there as well. If they don't want to go with Mukuba, Azariah Thomas would be another one. Jalen Ramsey is getting older. They do need, I think, like another corner down there. Shamar Stewart, the edge rusher out of Texas A&M, I think would be tremendous value here at 48 as well. And if they want to address the interior, there are a few guys I think like Derek Harmon at that point. Landon Jackson is a bigger edge as well. Gray Zabel rose his stock rose a ton after Senior Bowl week, and so that could be if they don't go with Kelvin Banks in the beginning. I think Gray Zabel could be an option here later in this draft.
yeah. He talk about a good offensive lineman. He Gray's Abel made himself a lot of money at the Senior Bowl here, but
Yeah,
once again, too, it's just kind of like when you're going through these first two picks, it like just kind of keeps reiterating to me. It's like, I feel like there's a lot of different ways this Dolphins team could
yeah,
go. It just with the way that their offense is set up, it does limit themselves to I think specific type of receivers. Like I think Ted McMillan wouldn't really do well in a Miami Dolphins offense, but like Luther Burden, for example, I think would do really well in this Miami Dolphins offense just because he fits that type of mold.
yeah.
But they already have a bunch of Luther Burdens with Tyreek Hill, Malik Washington now started to come on towards the end of it. Devon Achane, I know he's a running back, so it's interesting just the way this offense is set up, and it's a lot of fun to watch when it works really well. Or sorry,
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun to watch when they're healthy and it works really well. Uh, but so it's just interesting to kind of think about like what are some other key players that could help this team just keep on improving. So moving
mhm,
on to their final pick, they don't have their original third round pick, but they do, according to some of the mocks, potentially are slated to get a third round compensatory pick. And so this is where we do get Xavier Restrepo. He is kind of one of those few receivers, is what we were talking about, as he is like that slot kind of speedster kind of guy that we think would help out this Miami Dolphins team. Keep him in Miami also too. I think he likes living down there. I think a lot of people like living down in Miami. So wouldn't be too far for him to go. I think another guy that would be very interesting, Tez Johnson. He had a good Senior Bowl as well. He might be a good day three option for them to go after. But if they feel he's not going to be there, I could see them potentially going here with the 98th overall pick.
yeah, and that's to me, this could be another wide receiver and just insert name. This is a really deep class. I think once you get into like that second, third, fourth tier of receiver, for me, Xavier Restrepo fits in. He's not the speedster that like a Jalen Waddle or obviously a Tyreek Hill is, but just a really good separator over the middle. He runs with the ball well after the catch, and I just think he does a really good job of being a wide receiver. Uh, Also, too, you look, Jalen Waddle has struggled with injuries. Tyreek Hill's longevity and whether or not he's going to retire or not is a bit in question. So continuing to add to that wide receiver room, I think, is going to be really important. They could also maybe want to go with a bigger bodied wide receiver. So maybe at this point, like a Caden Prather from Maryland or Ja'Cory Brooks from Louisville. So it'll be really
Corey
interesting to
Horton
kind of,
from
yeah, Torrey
Colorado
Horton
State.
from Colorado State. It could be a lot of different guys. So that is kind of like the tipping point to me, like after pick 75, 80, where a lot of teams really just start drafting like almost solely for need or players that they think can come in and fill a role that they want them to play specifically. So it's going to be
Exactly.
really interesting to watch the Dolphins throughout this offseason process. There are definitely some like holes that they need to fill, but they also still have a lot of talent. And as you said, like they really could just be in a best player available scenario.
Yeah. Yeah. So the entire AFC East, I think, is going to be very fascinating. Like with your Patriots picking four overall, what route do they want to go to? The Jets with the whole Aaron Rodgers situation, they got a new head coach. Miami, it just feels just unique on like this team. I feel like there's a lot of problems for this team, but like no clear direction on like how to fix it. Because like there's still some good talent, and this offense could be like the number one offense in the league,
Yeah.
when healthy. And Buffalo as well too. It's like they've been the reigning division champs the past several years now, but it's like how can they continue to keep adding on like good talent to finally get past the Chiefs and like make that Super Bowl? So how all these teams in the AFC East handle their draft is going to be interesting in so many different ways.
Yeah, but I'm excited to see what the Dolphins do. Let's go ahead. Let's wrap up this video here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. That is the best way to help out the channel. While you're down there, leave a comment on what you thought of this Dolphins 3-round mock draft. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you have done differently? And other than that, we will see you guys next time.